Today we have a special show for you. It is the man, the myth, the legend, Dave Meyer. And he is joining us today on the set of the Talk It Out podcast to discuss how your thoughts affect your marriage. Yeah. What are you thinking about your spouse? It matters. So you also know Joyce will have plenty to add to this conversation as well. Joyce and Dave have been married for 57 years. They have a lot of life experience to share. So get nestled in, grab a cup of coffee. You will not want to miss this time of sharing stories, wisdom, and laughs.
You have no idea what we have planned for you, so.
Yeah, right.
For Joyce?
Yeah, no.
For you.
You, Dave.
Okay.
I can walk off this set anytime I want.
He's already starting with threats. Welcome to Talk It Out.
Yeah, right.
We have a special guest with us today on the show, one of your favorite guests of all time. Dave Meyer is here with all of the ladies today. Yay! And we know that the marriage episode that we did quite a while ago is the top played episode of all of Talk It Out. Mm-hmm. So Dave, you're the smash hit here.
Well, they just want to see what's behind Joyce. Who's the guy behind the lady?
Yeah, right.
And I think a lot of people want to talk about their marriage a little bit too. So today we're continuing our reoccurring series on what are you thinking? And today we're going to talk about the importance of marriage and the way that we think really impacts our relationships, whether you're married or not. This is going to be really helpful. Yeah. But there's no way around it. You can think yourself into a worse marriage sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
After 56 and a half years, trust me, I've learned how to think right.
You both said, oh, yeah.
56 and a half years.
56 and a half years, yeah.
That's quite an accomplishment.
It is.
Yeah. It is.
How has your thinking about each other, about marriage in general, changed through those years?
Quite drastically. In the beginning, of course, I mean, with Joyce, having gone through the childhood she went through, it was very difficult. But in those years, she was like a yo-yo. She did a lot of things erratically because of the hurt she went through. Sure. And, like I told people a couple of times she wouldn't talk to me for 3 weeks, wouldn't say one word for 3 weeks when she got mad. So, those are things that everybody, not 3 weeks probably, but everybody in marriage deals with situations, ups and downs, good and bad. And, to have the blessings in marriage, you have to go through all those things and learn about your wife and your life and how to deal with those situations. Mm-hmm. And now our marriage is so much different because we basically let each other be themselves. And really, that's God's design, because his design is for, her great qualities to fill my bad qualities, or qualities I don't have.
You mean there's any?
I knew she'd chime in.
She was waiting for that one.
Right. Are my good qualities to fill in her qualities. And in the beginning, she had a lot of tough situations and bad qualities that, I had to be strong enough to live through. And God, I can't say it was my effort or great ability, because God had prepared me for this all the young years growing up, and the relationship I have with him. And so she asked me the other day, she said, what do you think about marriage? I said, I don't think about marriage, I do marriage. And basically what I do is
so good.
is I take the Word of God and apply it in areas that it needs to be applied. And really, you can't do that unless you know the Word of God. Yeah. So that's really the crux of marriage is, if you know the Word of God, if you're privileged to know the Word of God, which shows you how to deal with situations, and you apply that Word, then that gets you through those situations. And
so, like he said, he knew that he couldn't change me,
right.
So he would pray.
Yeah.
Well, so there's a big thing right there.
Yeah.
It's like
Because it'd be easy to think
Yeah.
she'll never change.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and he
End of
said,
story.
I think one of the most important things that Dave has said, I want to be sure we bring it out on this show, is that he said he knew in the beginning that marriage was forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he didn't start playing that game in his head, if you keep this up,
Sure.
I'm not going to stay.
You didn't think about changing.
No.
That,
You
that
know
was
how
an
many
option.
you know how many people plan to get a divorce if things don't if this doesn't change, I'm out of here. I'm not going to put up with this if you don't change. And he never thought like that. He said this marriage is forever, and he knew he couldn't change me, which is the second biggest mistake that everybody makes, is they try to change each other.
Yeah.
And you can't
It's an inside job.
Yeah. You
Gotta
can't
see.
possibly know somebody. Well, especially Dave and I, we had 5 dates and got married, so we didn't know each other at all, at all. I mean, I didn't even know Dave played golf, and that's like
Oh man.
a major part of our life
Yeah.
now. And
You've also said, though, that if you had more than 5 dates, that, it may not have worked out this way.
he probably would have seen what he was getting and ran.
I wouldn't have.
That's so
It was
sweet.
a supernatural intervention, really,
Yeah.
for
He
me to
he
do
likes
it.
a
I was
challenge.
looking,
Yeah.
like I said, I was looking for a wife at that time. And, I'd been out of service for 3 years, and I was dating 3 girls, and I thought, these are not
Well,
the girls.
look at you, Dave Meyer.
Oh, how about that, huh?
He believes that faith without works is dead.
Yeah, faith without works is dead. I mean, you're not going to find the right one. You're going to sit around and hope they come your way. And
That's
so,
good advice for the singles today.
although it did happen that way, a guy needed a ride home, and of course, I think I shared this on the last show. A guy I worked with in the engineering field needed a ride home one night, and there she was outside. And I had prayed for somebody, and I prayed for somebody that needed help. And
That was a mistake.
no, it wasn't a mistake. That's how I got you. And so along comes Joyce. She's out there washing her car in short shorts, and I said, "Oh, she looks cute." And so back then you roll down the windows, hand rolls them down. And
It took a little while.
I said, "Hey, after you're done washing that car, you want to wash mine?" And the first word comes out of her mouth is, "Buddy, if you want your car washed, wash it yourself." And so what went off of me was, that's the girl for me. That's the girl for me. And, that had to be supernatural.
That
for
had to be
happen.
divine intervention. I mean, who would think like that?
Yeah.
But
So when
mean-
she was a yo-yo in the beginning,
Yeah.
what did you think?
up and down.
Yeah. Did you think
Well,
about?
no, I knew what she had gone through and why she was in this situation,
Yeah.
why her condition was that way. And it didn't make it, easy or anything, but it still gave me an understanding of where she was and why she was that
Yeah,
way.
that's
And
huge.
so that helped a lot, and like I said, I knew marriage, I've been raised in a Christian family, and I knew marriage was for life, and I believed that in my heart. And so that wasn't even an issue. So the next step was, okay, we deal with each situation as it comes up, and it's like anything in life, you learn by experience or growth, little by little, step by step. And so we learned about
Yeah.
each other, and now our marriage is, a great marriage, and of course it has been for many, many years. It's a great marriage, and we never have an argument anymore. But
I think we do occasionally, but he doesn't think so.
well,
So you argue about
listen,
if
in the
it's an
beginning-
argument or not.
In the beginning, if we had words, I call it words. If we had words, I would, after we kind of got over it, I would never remember it. But she could remember things 2 years back.
Oh,
or 3
absolutely
years.
we can.
I mean, she had it charted, one thing after another. I mean, it would come out. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, my memory's not that good anymore.
Oh, that's why our marriage is so good.
Something to look forward to for all of our marriages.
He was like, where do you keep all this
Yeah.
stuff stored?
I thought, man.
She has
what
an
kind of-
Excel
you got a-
spreadsheet.
You got a computer for a mind. How do you remember all this stuff? Because when it's over, it's over. I just
Yeah.
forget it. It's done with, and so
Yeah.
go on.
I remember when Dave came to me and he said, you know what, I've tried every way that I know how to make you happy. And you just don't want to be happy. So I'm going to be happy whether you are or not.
Yeah.
And that infuriated me because he would just go on and enjoy his life no matter how miserable I was. But it actually was one of the best things he did for me, because if you let an unhappy person make you unhappy, then you're codependent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people watching are.
Yeah.
They wait to see if they can be happy till they see if their kid that's a problem is happy, or their husband that's a problem is happy. And each one of us is responsible for our own joy.
Yes, we are.
And so he went ahead and enjoyed his life. And eventually I thought it became an example to me. And I wanted what he had. So for Christian people watching, if you're married to somebody that's either an unbeliever or somebody that's a wounded believer, you need to live the Christian life in front of them. Don't stay so busy trying to get them to do what's right, but you just be stable in doing what's right.
Yeah.
And that really had a greater impact on me than anything. And then as far as thinking is concerned, one of the big mistakes that I made is I would always think about what was wrong with Dave.
Yeah.
And that's what we shouldn't do, because if you took a list and you wrote down everything that's right with the person you're married to and everything that's wrong with them, I can pretty much guarantee that the right list would be a lot longer than the wrong list.
I did that one day.
Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took some work though, because I was
Yeah.
really mad that day.
Yeah.
But it did take some work.
Yeah.
So the
Your
wrong
mind is
things
all
are at the
wrong.
forefront of your mind.
Yeah, those all came out that long.
Yeah, that's
the
all on
wrong
the
list got
front.
longer
You had to
first.
search
Yeah.
for the good.
I did, but it helped.
But it's like when we focus on those things, then you forget all the good things.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is pray about the things that are bothering us, and always remembering, anytime you pray for somebody else, you better do it with some humility,
Yeah.
because you got issues too. And
That is such a good
So
point.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, I just,
Yeah.
anytime
Yeah.
I pray about something that I think is wrong with somebody else, I always say, I got plenty of issues of my own, so I do this with all humility.
And the other thing is, when you pray for somebody, don't expect everything to work out perfect right off the bat. Matter of fact, it usually gets worse, because then when you're praying and God's working on them, then their flesh is going to act up. And people think, well, prayer didn't work. But that's the time to get encouraged, not discouraged. And most people get discouraged because they think their prayer isn't working, when in actuality, it is working.
Yeah, I had that exact experience praying for Tim. And I had prayed this verse that I knew God gave me for him for years in our marriage, when this problem came to light that he had a problem with pornography.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, God, how can this be? I've been praying this for so long. Yeah. And so why are we having this come up now? And it was just like God told me so clearly in my spirit, it's come up now because you've been praying this. He's going to deal with it. Yeah. You're going to get past it. Yeah. So it feels like the prayer wasn't answered. Everything fell apart instead. Yeah. And sometimes you have to get to that point for the prayer to be answered.
That's right.
Because that's true. When God starts dealing with you, you usually act worse.
Yeah.
That's so
And so you see, now when I act bad, you can just...
God's working, yes.
Dave.
God's answering my
I give you a
prayers.
certain amount of time.
Well, we do love it
better now.
when Joyce is teaching, and she always uses so many great stories about Dave. And every now and then, Dave disagrees on a story. Yeah. And
He thinks I exaggerate. I don't know how anybody could think that I would exaggerate.
You embellish stories, and that means you add to.
well, we're going to take a look at one of those experiences that we had at a conference. And then we're going to come back and dissect it and talk about a few of the things that come up in this conversation. It's going to be fun. Watch this.
Dave did a little shopping today. And he bought 2 paintings that he loved, and guess who didn't? And do they match anything in the house? Dave likes things to stand out. But the problem is he wants everything to stand out. So you go in a room and you think you're going crazy because it's all standing out. Okay, now, this is between sessions. And I'm not liking this. And I could feel it coming. How many of you know you can feel it coming? It starts somewhere down in here and just moves up. And here's the trick. You got to stop it before it gets to your mouth. I didn't want the pictures. I didn't want to spend the money. But we have them. And I realized I am going tonight to teach on entering the rest of God. Come on. I am going tonight to teach on entering the rest of God, and the devil is standing on his head trying to upset me. And I'm not going there. Been there, done that. No, thank you. So he can just put his pictures in his room, in his office, lock himself in there, and just trying to figure out what to look at. He's talking to me about these paintings, and I've got like a million things running through my head trying to get ready for all this stuff, and I'm like, painting. How much? What? Huh? And then I had to go see them, and I didn't want to go see them because I didn't have time to go see them. And then when I saw them, I really didn't want them, but we have them. No. Do not give him a microphone. Not he.
Hey, you know, this was long overdue. Go over and sit down for a minute, will you? This has been long overdue. I could have bought the most beautiful picture of Jesus, and she would have said, I don't like it. Hey, listen. She's inferring that I'm always right. Well, I'm married to Miss Wrong. The problem is her first name is Never.
Come on, ladies, help me.
Dave was just saying that you still love those paintings.
Yeah,
And I still don't like them.
Do you still have them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You would not
will-
believe the artwork that Dave has in his office.
And it's beautiful. Oh,
I
it's
mean-
beautiful.
Everything in there's different.
It's a matter of opinion,
It's
my
like,
dear.
I know. He'll have like a snow-covered mountain and a big sunset, and
A sunset? What sunset?
but he does have a lot of pictures of me, so that kind of levels it out.
Helps counter it
Does
off.
counter it.
So let's talk about some of the things that came up in that conversation.
Well,
So
one thing that came
Yeah.
up is now I have freedom to get as many pictures as I want.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Because if she didn't learn her lesson, I have to keep going, to help teach her.
it's your duty to
It's your
help with
duty,
this.
yeah. He always tells me that God had him marry me to crucify my flesh, and I said, you're not far from wrong.
That's a portion of it, yes.
That's the difference of opinion has been one that's come up for us quite a bit, especially in 2020. So everybody's opinions about everything. Everybody was talking about their opinions.
Big opinions.
Big opinions. And that was also a year that Mike and I started going through some really difficult things. So it exacerbated our difference of opinions. Yeah. And he had a really difficult time with the fact that I didn't agree with him on everything. He told me later that it made excuse me, Dave.
I know.
He said it made, like, for bigger things, it made him feel unsafe that I didn't think exactly like he thought because he thought that meant we weren't unified. And I said, no, I just have a different opinion and it's
that's it.
okay. So I remember reading your book about loving people who are hard to love. It came out around then. And there was a couple pages you talked about how you have to learn that it's okay to disagree, like agree to disagree. And I highlighted it and I took a picture and sent it to him. And I said, this is what we need. Because I think it's not intuitive to just be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, she was that way. She was that way because of the way she had been treated. And she thought when I disagreed with her on something or I had my opinion on something, it wasn't actually a disagreement. I have an opinion, she's got an opinion. You know, if there's something where we don't have the same opinion, I'm not saying her opinion is wrong, but I have the right to my opinion.
Yeah.
And so she felt like I was saying her opinion is wrong by voicing my opinion, which is not really the truth. It's and
It would help, though, if you said you could be right.
So
And that doesn't hurt.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sure.
over a period of time, I did. I said that. I said, you have a right to your opinion. I have a right to mine. And over a period of time, you know, she has, you know, saw that, you know, because I can see why she couldn't at first because of the way she was treated all her young life growing up. But then after a period of time, she realized that she was doing that. And
I felt
set her free.
rejected
Yeah.
if he didn't agree with my opinion. And God had to teach me that just because he rejects your opinion doesn't mean he's rejecting you as a person.
Yeah.
And those are hard to sometimes separate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I remember having similar things in our marriage where, you know, we're just very different, whether it's opinions or just the way that we handle things or whatever. And I remember thinking, I wish he was more like me, which is that's a terrible thing to think. I mean,
But you are great. So
thank
It
you,
would
and I
be
love you
helpful.
for that. But there are so many things that he brings that I need.
Yeah, right.
And like you guys were talking about earlier, filling in for one another. But that thought of, I wish he was more whatever.
Yeah.
I wish he was less whatever, instead of appreciating what God puts in him and how we complement each other and how he really does help take me places, balance things out, you know, that I wouldn't go without him.
Yeah.
So that thought process, whether it's just opinion or we're meant to be different. That's the
Exactly.
whole point.
Yeah, most people marry opposites, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the reason is because the strengths that you need, they have. And the weaknesses that you have, you know, they fill.
Yeah. Tim and I have one that's very similar to you guys too, and that's that I'm a storyteller. Like I've been accused of exaggerating, maybe once or twice.
Most women do.
And
Probably.
but at the same time, I'm a condenser, so you know I want it to have a point.
Sure.
Tim is a detail man. You know, he's an engineer, so it's all about the details and the stories. I can gloss over, and at some point, I'm just like,
Yeah.
get to the point.
Yeah,
you know, I don't need the whole spreadsheet.
That's exactly the way I am.
Everything that's happening. But I have also learned to appreciate some of the things that I could gloss over and miss that he brings out and he holds on to. So, but that's taken some time
And
too.
I told her, you know, you don't like detail, yet when you teach, you teach with detail.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
yeah, that's interesting.
you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
I'm a bottom line person. You know, I can go through a museum in 30 minutes and Dave can be in there for 3 days. So.
Have you been looking for a 365-day devotional? Well, look no further than the promises for your everyday life devotional from Joyce Meyer. There's a focus verse for all 365 days of the year, along with a prayer starter. Get your copy of Promises for Your Everyday Life devotional at joycemeyer.org/365devo.
The biggest thing that we need to do is learn how to think like God thinks, and the only way you can do that is by knowing the Word of God.
In Words to Live By, Joyce Meyer shares how studying the Word of God transformed her life. Experience a deeper and more meaningful relationship with God through the captivating collection of verses in this beautiful hardcover book by Joyce Meyer. Discover the transformative power of His Word. Words to Live By from Joyce Meyer. Get your YouTube exclusive offer today. Go to joycemeyer.org/words and the number 2.
Have you ever been trapped in a never-ending frenzy where every passing moment feels like a blur, leaving you gasping for a chance to pause and catch your breath? In her insightful book, Pursuing Peace, Joyce Meyer explores the importance of seeking peace at all costs. This beautiful hardcover edition is filled with meaningful scriptures and uplifting quotes from Joyce, providing valuable guidance for living a peaceful lifestyle. So grab a cup of coffee, find a comfortable spot, and embark on your journey to find peace. Remember, this limited time YouTube offer won't last long. Go to joycemeyer.org/pursuit to get your copy today and start your pursuit of peace.
The mind actually is the battlefield. That's where we win or lose the war with Satan. He said all he gets to say.
He says uses a
The
lot.
rest of the day is mine. You start asking God to heal you and he will restore.
Is the God of all comfort, and I am